Hey, Dr. Jeff Durgan here. Last time we talked a little bit about my background, my education, growing up in San Angelo, going to high school, and we talked about college. Today I'd like to talk to you about my medical school experience. For me, medical school was nothing I had ever experienced before. When I showed up there, first of all, it was a lot of rich kids. I was married, drove a clunker car, and a lot of these folks were driving Beamers and Mercedes Benz, and mommy and daddy were footing the bill, and like I'm working a summer job and trying to get student loans. So it was very interesting. The other thing I noticed was there was a lot of fake people, people that had a smile and they're like, "Hey, how are you?" And they're so happy to see you, and you don't know why. I gravitated more to the realist people, the people who were standing in the corner, sitting in the back, going like, "Why is everyone so happy? What what are we so happy about? Why are we all smiling?" Those were my friends. I was like, "What's everybody smiling about? Why is that person so happy?" Those were the people I hung out with. Interestingly enough, there was such a diversity in people in medical school. I found myself, my lunch buddy for the first couple of years was a guy who's a vegan, and I'm not a vegan. I don't know if I've ever talked about my eating habits, but don't tell anybody, but I don't eat fruits or vegetables. Don't ask me why. I have an aversion to much of the texture, the taste. I'm the guy that's at Taco Bell eating like a soft taco. I ask for no lettuce. Invariably, the lettuce is next to the cheese. They get it on their hand and they put it in there. I'll be eating a soft taco from Taco Bell, and I'll open it up. I might say a dirty word or be like, "Dang it." And there's a little bitty piece of lettuce in the soft taco. I shouldn't be able to taste that. Like, my mouth should not know. I should be able to plow through that and just eat it. But I can't. And I've proven time after time after time to my wife. I'm like, "Look at this. You can't make this up. I tasted that. The tiniest little piece of lettuce. I don't want to taste it." Right? She got COVID recently and she said she can't taste anything. I'm like, of all the people in this house that need to dumb down their taste buds, I'm the one that doesn't need to taste stuff because I taste it too much. Like, it's overwhelming. Like, when we were first married, she'd eat a pickle, right? And 12 hours later, I'd come home and she's brushed her teeth 3 times, eaten other stuff, drank soda, and I'd give her a little kiss on the mouth. "Hi, babe. Good to see you. Had a long day." And I'm like, "Did you eat? Wait, did you eat a pickle?" And she's like, "How do you taste that? It's been 12 hours and I brushed my teeth." But I don't want to taste that. But that's how my taste buds work, and I can't help it. So anyway, back to the medical school lunch. So I'd eat lunch with this guy, and he'd pull out his food, and it looked like bean sprouts to me. Like, I thought he picked it off the bush over there. And I'm eating a ham and cheese sandwich on white bread with Cheetos. So we were like the oddest couple. Somebody come by and they're like, "What are y'all eating?" I'm like, "Well, I'm eating, normal food." I really don't know what he's eating. And he's probably thinking, I'm eating normal food. He's eating like a processed, cancer causing agents of death. I'm pretty sure that's what he thought. Let me get into my medical school experience and education, tell you a little bit about that and some of my medical school experiences. Now, medical school was a different story. College, I didn't do any extracurricular activities. I wish I had. I wish I'd slowed down. I graduated in 3.5 years. I was just nose to the grindstone. I also worked, they called it full time. I worked 35 hours a week at a convenience store. And I would stand in the back. When there weren't any customers, I'd get all my stuff done really quickly. I programmed the cash register so I could ring up people really fast with like a bunch of keyword buttons. Everybody buys the same thing. Like, when you work at a convenience store, you get to know the clientele. You know what they're going to buy. Like, that guy walks in, he's getting a pack of Marlboro Reds and a 6-pack of Keystone, right? He's the Bud Light guy, and I know what everybody wants. So by the time they get up there, I've got key buttons. I've already got it rung up. So there'd be a line of people, and I'd step up to the register and just like, beep, 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 get them done, get them out. I'd go, it's called facing the shelves. You'd pull everything to the front to make sure there's no gaps, dust stuff off, check the beer cooler, refill it. Then I'd be done. I'd go in the back, out of the way of the security camera, and study. And people would come in and make fun of me. They're like, "What are you studying back there?" And I'm like, oh, I'm going to go to medical school. And they're like, ha, you're going to go to medical school. And they'd be like, okay, what bone's connected to the what bone? And I'm like, oh, very funny. Oh, yeah, make fun of the guy with some ambition. Great. Well, I did go to medical school, and now I'm Durgan the surgeon. So, anyway, I'm not putting anybody down. They were making fun of me. Look at me now. Anyway, for all you people from San Angelo, West Texas, I worked at Town and Country for 4.5 years. Right. And they offered college tuition assistance, which was great. I love that place. They offered me assistant manager. They offered me a managerial position. I was like, nah, I think I'm going to go ahead and go to medical school. Yeah. Once I got to medical school, that's when everything changed. And I've been trying to tell my son this. He is interested in going to medical school. And I've been trying to tell him medical school is like nothing you've ever experienced. It's like high school is like level 1 on the treadmill. Like I can turn around and walk backwards. You can like cross your legs, sit down, take a break, go to the bathroom, come back. College, you're level 2. You're having to step it up a little bit. Maybe 3, you're walking. I'm walking on the treadmill. Medical school was like somebody suddenly hit number 10 and you're falling over yourself and you can't keep up. And everybody felt that way. It was organized into 6-week blocks, and there was such a volume of information. You didn't have time to reread all your notes. You didn't have time to rewrite your notes by any means, right? I mean, it was such a volume of information, it was overwhelming. The only thing that saved us is we had this scribe service. What we would do is somebody would be tasked to take notes during a certain lecture, and you had to take good notes or you got kicked out of the scribe service. We turned them in, and then they put all the notes together and came out with a syllabus of all the notes for all the classes. So it was genius. I mean, you had to pay a little bit of money for the reproduction of the copies. But that way you didn't have to take notes every class. And I mean, sometimes you could just put your pencil down and listen and know that your buddy's taking notes and you're going to get a copy. So it was the scribe service. So that was the real lifesaver in medical school. But it was crazy. We had to get used to. We were successful people that got there with high GPAs, and then were like failing class. Like there were people that were staying up all night taking Ritalin, trying to study. And one girl had a seizure out in front of the auditorium before one of the tests because she had stayed up all night and taken Ritalin. And I never did that, but that's the level of competition there was for people to try to stay awake and get all that information and get it done. So medical school was hard. Now, once you got to the clinical rotations, first and second year are classrooms, but third and fourth year are clinical rotations. That was a lot easier because now it relies on a lot of people skills. And I was popular because I liked procedures. I'm like, oh, there's a procedure? Let me in. We're sticking a needle in somebody. We're doing a thoracentesis, paracentesis, urocentesis, whatever centesis. I'm in. I wanted to be there. I was doing it. That made me sort of popular. After every rotation, sometimes the attendings would take us out, right? So my internal medicine rotation, again, I was on internal medicine. I did all the procedures. I was sticking needles in chests and stuff like that. But our attending was a young guy named Chuck. I don't remember his last name. He probably doesn't want me to mention it, but he took us out to this Mexican food place. We're all adults, so they ordered some margaritas, right? And I wasn't a big drinker, so I didn't drink that much. But the girls on the rotation got a little bit shiny-faced. At the end of the night, everybody needed a ride home. So they were like, let's do a field sobriety test. And I'm like, no, I'm okay to drive. I had like one, right? But we got out there, and I hopped on my one foot and touched my nose, and everything was fine. So I took everybody home. So first I took Chuck home because it's order of seniority. Chuck, he's the attending. I take him home first. Well, the two girls come up with me to Chuck's apartment, and they go crazy, right? The tall chick, I'm not going to name any names, I lose her. I'm like, where'd she go? She's in Chuck's bed. I'm like, what are you doing in Chuck's bed? Get out of Chuck's bed. So I drag her out of there, and I'm like, all right, let's go. And I'm like, where's the other girl? And I lose her, and she's passed out. She's on Chuck's couch. A cute little Indian girl. I've got to pick her up and carry her to the car. So the tall girl, I'm like, come on, follow me. The Indian girl, I've got her like carrying her to the car. I I put her in the back seat, drive them home. My wife was out of town. She called. She's like, "How was your night? What have you been doing?" I'm like, "I've been wrangling drunk people. That's what I've been doing." But that sort of the stress level, that was like at the end of the 6 weeks when we were decompressing. That was what happened. It's not like we drank all the time in medical school. That's part of the problem. We didn't drink all the time. So you go out one time and have a couple drinks and you're wasty face. But it was a good time. It was really fun. The friends I met in medical school, I don't talk to a lot of them every day or anything, but when I see them, it's like we're buddies for life. Like if I saw Deb or Elisa, any of those folks today, it would be like, oh my God, what have you been doing? Medical school is a good time. Well, that's all for now. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, Durgan the Surgeon. Good night.